So if everybody could just take a second and close your eyes. I want you to think about a moment. Maybe you're at a restaurant, maybe at your family's house, a moment when you were eating, maybe with friends or family. Think about the way that food tasted. Think about that conversation, that joy you felt eating that food. I grew up in a house where food was central to the way we communicated. If anyone else out there grew up in a Jewish household, first thing you get is something to eat every single second of the day. So food's really important. But the idea around the preparation of that food was important. I also grew up in a house with generations. So my grandmother taught me how to cook. My father was a great cook. My mother is a great cook. My sister. So food is very important. And I started to associate joy with that. And the love of sharing that joy with people became critical and paramount in my life. Unfortunately, when I did dedicate my life to the preparation of food in the service of others as a professional chef, I realized that there was a lot of the experience of preparing food in a professional arena wasn't full of joy. It wasn't full of great bonding memories between me and my grandmother or my mother or my father. It was full of anger and shame and fear and a gastronomic caste system that separated people based on their job title. It sought to humiliate people in order to push them to become a better version of themselves. And as I started in the business, I realized that this was just the way things were going to be. I'm going to have to just push through this. And this is the important part of my growth. I'll accept this. And then as I moved through the system over the last 20 years or so, I got to meet some great mentors and they taught me some different lessons. And that's kind of what I want to share with you guys today. My wife and I built a business here in this small city of North Adams to create a different food environment. One in which our mission of putting better food on the tables of those within our community could be the foundation. And one in which we didn't have to fall into the same pitfalls and fear-based hierarchical structure that exists in so many restaurants today. Once we had that mission clear to put that food on the table with as much love and care, we started to take apart the pieces. Now, a little backstory, I spent the year before we decided to open this restaurant telling my wife and every single person I knew that opening a restaurant was the stupidest thing that anyone could ever possibly do. Restaurants are expensive, they lose money, and they're full of pain and agony. So my wife asked me the question, if we were gonna do this, how would we do it? And so we decided to take it apart piece by piece. First, we decided that we would talk about accessibility. That meant creating a menu that meant something different. That also meant creating a price point that meant something different. We talked about the staff, the way we'd hire people. We talked about the culture, what it meant to work with us, not for us. And then we talked about the overall way we would deal with success and failure, because those things come hand in hand together. And in the restaurant business, usually it's more failure than success. So accessibility. We looked at price. Now in this community, and in communities similar to this across this country and of course across the world, things like fast food become the first choice for folks who are eating out. We looked at those prices and we figured that if we were maybe 10%, 15% more than that, then we could attract a group of a community that would sometimes feel alienated when new restaurants come to town. If you're willing to pay this much, maybe you'd be willing to pay a little bit more for a story and something new in your community. This became really easy for us to decide that barbecue is the best thing to do. It's simple, we make it our own. I'm a Russian-Hungarian Jew from Connecticut, and my wife is Australian, so there's no connection or lineage to the South or barbecue in general. But I was a butcher for many years, and she's an incredible bread baker, so we just said we'll make it our own thing and we'll call it Berkshire Barbecue. A little bit of pride for this western part of Massachusetts, and something delicious that we know everybody will enjoy. Now we needed to talk about the kind of people that we wanted to bring into this business. And for us, I didn't go to culinary school. My wife has some formal training, actually more than me. But for us, it was important to find people that had the things that we couldn't train. You can't teach empathy. You can't teach compassion. You can't teach character and integrity. But if we are supposed to be the experts in this business, that means that we are the ones responsible for training these people. So we hired people with no experience. In fact, it was a prerequisite. You can't have any experience. You just have to look us in the eye. We have to like you. And we figured if we pulled together enough people who liked one another, then it's our responsibility to teach them how to cook. I spent 20 years in the kitchen. I know how to cook. It's my job to teach you. So that responsibility fell on us. After that, it was about culture. The culture for us was about building a space where people felt safe. I won't go into the details of what it feels like to be shamed in a 3-star restaurant, but let me tell you, it's not a great experience. You can be reduced to nothing and question your life's meaning. And in fact, your life's meaning will be questioned by those above you. And they will ask you terrible questions to make you second guess everything. And every single day you will ask yourself, is today the day I'm going to be fired? This is a story that was shared to me by one of my friends in the industry, and it's true. You go into work every day thinking this is the day it's going to be over. And we didn't want to create that environment. So we decided that we weren't going to yell. We weren't going to scream. We weren't going to get stressed and angry, because if there was failure, it was our fault as owners. And I say fault in the most generous way. It was our responsibility to retrain our staff, because if we had the expectation that they were going to figure it out the first time or before they even came here, we expected that they were so smart that they would just figure it out, then we would be batting our heads against the wall and we'd be out of business in 6 months. We also wanted to make sure that people felt as though their efforts were directly related to the amount of money they were making. So instead of creating a separation between the front of house and the back of house, a separation that usually breeds a lot of animosity in the food business, we decided that everyone was going to get paid more or less the same amount, and that all of the effort was going to be split between everybody, because we didn't hire positions, we hired people. And their contribution, whether it was washing a dish one moment, helping a customer, prepping vegetables, making a sandwich, they were all important to the contribution of the success of the business together. And maybe this was a little bit sort of a new concept for restaurants, but it just made sense to us. When we went to eat at a restaurant, maybe the waiter was bringing the food over, but the glass needed to be clean, the plate needed to be clean, the restaurant needed to be clean, you know, the vegetables were prepared with care, and there's an unfairness that breeds hate and anger that the chefs aren't even responsible for. By separating people in such difficult categories, it makes it impossible for a team to work together. Then we talked about the space. What is it about restaurants that are expensive? Well, you're all sitting in some of them. Chairs, tables, glasses, flatware, plates. We said we'll get rid of all that. In fact, no seating in the restaurant at all. Our location allowed us to work symbiotically with a restaurant next door, with another food business that didn't have any food, but they had seating. So we took advantage of the opportunity that was in front of us, and we allowed ourselves to say, we're going to say no to this, and we're going to see what happens, because we're going to own what we do, and we're going to train our people to be excited about saying no. What was interesting is that it allowed us to communicate with each guest one at a time. The way a great waiter or a great captain would treat you when you walk into a 3 Michelin-starred restaurant, we were going to talk to each guest one at a time and give them the guaranteed kind of service that we wanted to have. The food is delivered to them next door, and the truth is that when they're standing out in the cold ordering food, once they hear that we're going to bring the food to them in the warm brewery, they thank us. So it becomes really great, really easy to give great service. Success and failure were the next 2 big topics that we needed to really tackle. And of course, success feels good. It feels good to make money. It feels good to know that something that you had an idea about can work. And you see that directly. But it was also about how we showed our appreciation to our staff. We didn't wait for a big evening, a stellar evening where we served the most meals ever. Yes, we congratulated our staff then, but we also made sure that we were talking to them on a regular basis. By giving them constant feedback, positive and negative, in a calm and respectful way, we began to empower them to take more responsibility over the jobs that we were assigning to them. So as young cooks, as young people, they're still bringing their life experiences to us. But now we have a chance to show them, you're doing great. I know this was challenging for you. Thank you for contributing. What do you think we can do to make this easier? And watch them train their friends and the people within the community about what they've learned. And so now that means that us as owners, my wife and I, get to step back. We don't have to micromanage because our people are committed to helping one another because they know what it feels like to feel good about it. Failure, obviously, goes part and parcel. Now, I say this with not too much ego, but we haven't had a terrible amount of failure so far. I'm sure it's coming. But we do know that when our employees fail, the first response is not to blame them. The first response is to look at the situation. One, was everybody clear about the vision that we had to make this restaurant great, to serve this meal? Two, did everybody understand the work that was required and expected after we've trained? Three, did everyone understand and communicate with each other about the help that they possibly needed? And four, what are we going to do about it afterwards? This kind of talk allowed us to be calm when we approached failure, when something wasn't cleaned the way it was supposed to be cleaned, when something wasn't cut or served the way it was supposed to be. This gave us a chance to say to them, okay, let's take a step back, let's assess, and they don't feel beaten down. And I know that it can sound like we are not communicating our issue, but you'd be surprised at what level of pride people take when they know that their failure does not mean the end of their career. It means that they're growing and you're willing to invest in their growth. Now, this is all great talk, but I have a story to share that kind of sums up a moment that we experienced recently. And I think it brings it back to the idea of what it means to build this kind of restaurant family. A few weeks ago, we had to let some people go. Now, if we talk about failure, that was our responsibility. We didn't have a plan going into the winter. And unfortunately, we were a little bit too hopeful that we were going to keep making enough money to support these people, but we just couldn't. We had to make a decision. And because we're the owners of this business, we felt as though it fell on us to decide. This is our job to do this. This is the dirty work that we signed up for, and we had the conversations that needed to be had. It was not easy. And it was not a short conversation. We thought long and hard about it. How are we going to make this work? So we had a conversation with those people, and a couple days later, one of our team members came up to me in the office and pulled me aside and said, I needed a couple days to cool down. I was really upset. And I speak for the rest of the team here because we're all angry at you. Because if you had come to us with this request, this need, this emergency, all of us would have given up a day to keep these guys on the team. We all would have made a sacrifice for the greater good of the business. For me, the first feeling I felt was embarrassment. I was humiliated, horrified. I felt so sad that I had done something so foolish, to not think to include these team members, these family members in this kind of decision. And then I kind of felt proud. I felt like this was what we wanted to do. And right on cue, this team member said, if you talk about building this kind of business where we're all family, then you have to include us in these decisions because we're all willing to put up or shut up. We're all willing to be here for the greater good of this business. And so when I think about what I wanted, what my wife and I wanted, what this business means to us, the idea of being in service of others, that's really what restaurants are. They're about giving a piece of yourself, a memory, a dish to someone else, a stranger, and then building an experience around that table. We wanted this and we built it. And so far it's been good. And I'm sure we'll have our troubles. But it provokes a bigger question, which is, what is the future of this industry? An industry that supports not just the good, but the bad. Drug abuse, stress, anger, fear, depression, low pay, no pride in the work, and certainly a part-time job on your way to some other greater path. We knew that if we were going to take this challenge, we just wanted good people to be feeling that they were going to be better on the back end of their experience with us than they were at the beginning. And so when we think about what we accomplished, it's because of North Adams. It's because of cities outside of the major metropolitan areas that give chefs and small business owners an opportunity to risk a different model and hopefully provide a future pathway towards a business that can support people from all walks of life and not leave the tread marks over their bodies and over their emotional psyche for the generations to come. If we are going to be the people leading and teaching as chefs and as owners in our particular case, then it's our job to leave something better behind for us. And so when I think about what the dynamic means, how we need to change it, it's removing this fear, this anger that exists from chefs hell-bent to prove that they know something and wanting to prove it at all costs, certainly at the cost of the mental health of their employees. That if we replace that with a different level of compassion, accessibility, accountability, removing the shame from failure, and knowing that growth is expected when you start something for the first time. Thank you very much.
Another great video, Chef.
Oh, yes, Chef. Awesome. So I love to put this video that I was looking all over if I can find a video that talks in a positive way about how the restaurant industry is going on, and I found this one that is, I think it reveals, it gives a good idea of how many chefs are looking into the future of what this industry should be, you know, and we have to, it's not about making money. It's not about, you know, be a 3 Michelin stars. It's to give, in one side, it's a people thing. It's no, we're going to give a great experience to our guests. And for other time, we're going to give a great experience for the people who's working inside, isn't it? It should be both sides. I always say there should be a balance between these two sides of the scale. If the people is happy working and if everything is enjoying and everything is growing, then that's going to be a huge reflex and on the food that they produce and the experience that they give it to the customers. So it's a matter of empathy. It's a matter of learning the business, but it's a matter of the vision that you have about the cultures that we need to feel in this restaurant and any kind of food business that we're trying to build. And I hope I inspired you guys, and be sure that when you're gonna have to get to that point, you can be sure that you have this more mature idea of what it should be to work in this business, and not just go ahead and crack your back and be depressed and have this stress to the extreme. So when
You're not sharing.
yes, chef.
Are you sharing something?
I'm gonna put right now the.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you, chef. There you are.
Thank
So when there's two ways to handle the restaurant business, you know, and this is these visions that we have on how people perceive the workers on the business, you know. If they are Y or they are X. Have you ever heard about Y and X, chef?
Yes.
Yeah, so the ones I talked a little bit before this, you know, there's the ones are the ones that are X's, the ones that, you know, think that people don't like to work. We have to push them to work because it's not in the nature of those people to work. They hate to work, and we have to push them to work. The other side is the why, you know, people love to work and it's in their nature to work hard, and we want to hire a lot of Y's because that's the way that it should be. But my point of view is there's no X or Y's, you know. The problem is that people don't like to do things that they don't know. It's fears, and they don't like to be in fear. If you tell me, you know, I I'm I have to do something that I really don't like it, you know, I'm in complete fear. I don't like to do it. So when we do something that we love, we are like, you know, fish on the water. We love to do. We come every day, you know. Like I love to teach. For me, it's just so nice to be. It's part of my life. I enjoy what I do, you know. My wife don't like his work. It's a very stressful to wake up every day, you know, and try to go to the work. She's an next person right now on that field. She's like, oh, it's Monday, you know, that kind of thing. And I love Mondays because it's a great opportunity to come and express myself and show what I know and help others. And it's just a changing process. And I feel that in a different way. But it's because I know and I love what I do because I've been doing and I've been learning and I've been, you know, so I feel so much empathy and I love to do this. So there you are. This is two things to do. When we have to go to counseling, it's the same thing. We have to take these things very carefully, isn't it? We cannot see discipline and a way to punish people, isn't it? You come here, my friend, to work. This is your thing. Sign it. You agree? Now you go to work. And we are watching you. And then when something happened, come here. Why did you do that? This is your first warning. And we have this kind of environment that is completely, you know, it's like a military thing that you don't feel comfortable working there because it's just a pushing. So we have to put attention on how to handle supervision, counseling, and discipline. And I want to talk about that because it is something that is a big responsibility. And I always says, you know, when we have to get to a job, when we have to work with other human beings, the first thing that we touch in front of us is humanity. If we lost our humanity, we lost everything. And we work with human beings, and we are not working with robots. We're not working with machines. They are not assets for inventory. They are persons. They are lives in the middle, isn't it? So, what the term supervisor should be? Who can tell me what a supervisor should be?
What should a supervisor be? Anybody? You can unmute yourself.
Shen.
He should be a supervisor. Should be a leader, not only getting all the tasks done and delegating things properly, but compassionate and listens to his employees and involves employees in decision making to make them feel like they're wanted.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah,
Totally.
it's a person that it should lead with example, isn't it?
Yes, chef.
Yeah. What do you think, Lauren Bailey?
Lauren?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
What I'm thinking is, what do you think it should be the role of the supervisor?
Oh, the supervisor? You know, to see over um, the people, kind of like managing, make sure everybody, you know, has a positive attitude, working together and doing everything that they need to do.
Yeah. What do you think, Trinity? Derek, what do you think, Derek?
Larrick wrote, the person needs to lead.
Yeah, this is a kind of hierarchy that we have on the restaurant. You know, the most responsible, the maybe a person who has more, I would say, experience on the job, it will start occupying these leading positions, and these leading positions help him to lead other people, you know, through the work by doing training, by help them to complete the work and all the responsibilities that people has on the job time. So it's kind of a manager, you know. It also has to manage your schedules, you know, and probably has to be participating in the hiring process. And also it's the person who respond that everybody who works has everything, all the things that are necessary to work, isn't it? The tools, the inventory, the napkins, and everything. So it is the one who has the top responsibility of the roles of the rest of the people on the here, and the supervisor can, it depends of the size of the job. It can be, you know, the chef or the floor manager, or if it's bigger and bigger, you have more people involved, isn't it? You have the maitre d' and many other people that still have other kind of responsibility that's coming down and down and down. But what we have to be careful is that there's not abuse of that responsibility that people has, and be sure that they really, really take this job seriously, isn't it? Overseas employees is a serious thing. It's not about micromanaging, you know, but it's something that they need to grow. And remember, being a leader is something that you learn. So if we can see the person we just put in a leader position, we want to help that person to grow and learn, so there's no abuse on the position of power. Make sense?
Totally makes sense.
So in the case of the front of the house, guys, you know, we have a supervisor. That will be like the floor manager, isn't it? Or it can be the maitre d'. But there's somebody that's going to be in charge of all the front of the house, you know, and that person is the person who's going to oversee all the restaurant operation in front of the house. So it's going to be like the manager of the whole front of the house, no? So he has to be sure that there is customer satisfaction, isn't it? All the standards that we need to be done, that people, all the jobs that people has to be done, be sure that hire the people, help to hire them, and be sure that they are well training. The guy is also in charge to be the suppliers for inventory, and also oversees preparation, you know, make sure that also there's the food safely guidance are handling for everybody, you know. So it's a huge thing, you know. Exactly, that's what the person do, you know, oversee all the front and back of the house restaurant operations, ensure customer satisfaction through promotion of excellent service, response to customer complaint, tactful and professionally, maintain quality controls for all food that is served, because that's also his responsibility. Analyze the staff evaluations, feedbacks, improve customer experience, helps to project the future, the needs, the kitchen supplies that are needed, or the napkins and all things that is needed, uniforms, all part that is needed on the front of the house, and to be sure that the health codes are constantly handling, people are well trained, isn't it? All that, it's part of his responsibilities. They have to be sure that there's no waste, isn't it? That his part is the cooperation, because remember, on restaurants, we count pennies, no waste. I keep saying that, isn't it? He has to be weekly, daily, and monthly reports. And also normally he attend executive meetings, isn't it? As part of the executive team that all get together, and it's part of that process of analyze all the pros and cons and see the future. Is not just one person. This is the team, the executive team that we have. And we also have that, like in the school, we have also an executive team that is parallel. We work on that. And then we have the back of the house supervisors. In the case of a restaurant, it will be the executive chef. But in the case of hotels, there's many more back of the house people that, like housekeeping. And you have a housekeeping chief in charge. Maybe there's more than that, like security and things like that are back of the house. That in hotels there are a whole big department. Maintenance, isn't it? All that is back of the house. In the case of a restaurant, back of the house normally is supported by the executive chef, isn't it? So that person will be the sous, with the help of the sous chef. The same thing, they are in charge of planning the menus, planning the daily menus. What are they going to do with the leftovers? What are they going to do with the food that is getting from one day to another? So they have to put every day these ideas. He has to supervise the cook. He has to supervise the kitchen helpers, making sure that everybody is working with the standards, the health and the production standards. It helps on the process of hiring people. They also wants to visit, the farms and talk to the farmers of what exactly that's what they have to do. So they are responsible for the acquisition of all the ingredients that are needed in the kitchen. So there you are. So they coordinate activities with meaning the food preparation, the kitchen, the pantry, the storeroom, all the food. If I have food for the staff, they also get in charge of that. That is a main issue in restaurants, more and more. So this is the thing, guys, that I put it in front of you. If I have a restaurant, what I will do, isn't it, is I will have menus for the staff. And I will put this menu for the staff, and everybody would sit and have this menu before we start working. And the idea of doing that is, it develop team. We can discuss things during that time. And it also show the appreciation of the company for the employees that are working over there by give them food that it's okay and it's nice and it's everybody's going to eat it, from the chef to the lowest. Everybody is going to do the same thing, so everybody is treated equal. So that's one thing, when you say this to the employees, you have a discount, you can buy the food in the restaurant. I think is not so good, because then you have these different levels, you create this difference between first and second class employees, and that is not a good idea. So, because every person is as important in the kitchen, that's how we manage these things. Are you there, Chef?
I have a truck something like that.
Okay. What do you think, guys, about this? About this topic of food?
Here's my back license plate.
Yeah, I like the idea of a family meal over just giving an employee a food discount on all the items on the menu, and because it increases the sense of camaraderie amongst the employees.
Yeah, I agree with you. Lyric.
Yeah, I agree with the family meals and stuff because it allows everyone to come in and eat and basically get ready for the shift instead of, like you say, you get that employee discount. Hell, some people might just be like, well, I can't afford to eat today because of bills or whatever or circumstances. So they're sitting there hungry, and prior to shift, you can't eat, so you're stuck angry and agitated because you don't even have enough food in your stomach. So yeah, I understand how that goes.
Yeah, and you know what happened when that happened? You know, it's there's chips on the table. You get some of your chips, and you will eat the chips of that's supposed to go to the tables a little bit, you know, and there is bread coming, and there is things like that, you know, and you just will eat it because you're hungry, and that create that difference, you know. It's like it makes, you know, first and second class employees, and that's a bad signal, you know, that we are sending to everybody, you know, when you have these different classes. So remember, when we have jerkies on the restaurant, you know, like this is the manager, this is the supervisor, etc., etc., etc. These are grades, not a position of powers. These are responsibilities, isn't it? Position of responsibilities. So these people should be know that that's exactly what they have. So they don't have to abuse that with the rest. So if everybody has the same importance in the family, that's something that we handle. And you know, one of the big problems that we were talking, the guy who was on the video talking, and now I'm going to share with you guys, because the ones who already work in the restaurant, they know, but the one who hasn't, one of you who never worked in the restaurant, I will explain you. So people who work in the kitchen has a salary, hourly or salaries. They pay by hour or salaries. People who work in the restaurant area, maybe some they have salaries. The rest have minimum wages, isn't it? And they pay by the tips. So the customers are the one who pay the salary of the people over there, isn't it? If the restaurants were good, the guys make good money. But even with that, there's a lot of problems on that position, you know, like the best workers has the best areas on the restaurants that we know that where the people are moving more, you know, and they can get better, a lot of money. So at the end, they're gonna make a lot of money, and they have to share something with the kitchen or something that nobody tell them, you know, how much they make. They can make $200 in a day, as much as that, and maybe they're gonna put like $20 for the people in the kitchen. So, but that create, you know, this difference, you know. The guy who is in the kitchen, working his butt in the kitchen, you know, is making, I don't know, $40,000 or less in a year. The guy who is working on the server is making $85,000 a year. So huge difference, isn't it? When everybody is doing the same in the restaurant. And even with this idea, guys, there's a lot of rotation on the restaurants because of that. So now there's a lot of restaurant owners that says, you know, I'm gonna pay everybody salaries, you know, and all the tips that come in for the restaurants, we're gonna share with everybody. that creates a culture that is more participative and more team cultures, and make everybody feels that everybody is working for the same cause. So there's still a minority doing that, but there is coming little by little, you know. And what's the good thing that we can get from that? That we can have professional waiters, isn't it? So we can hire, we're gonna have more retention because the people who are working on that, they will have their salaries, and maybe they will have more additional of the salaries, they will have a little additional compensation. So that's something that is happening, but it's little by little here because there's still this idea that the customer is the one who pay the salaries of the front of the house, which I disagree. What do you think about this, Jeff?
I totally disagree. I think it's, you know, the staff, the chef, the restaurant. Or I totally agree with you.
So, yeah. So the chef, the sous chef, you know, is the one who be sure that supervise the cook, be sure that the food tastes the same, the standards are there, you know, smell, the texture, and everything has to go perfect, you know. And the guys also be sure that inventories are taken every day, the storage area is good, you know, he be sure that we have all the stuff, you know, and they can requisitions of everything that is needed in the kitchen, that they have the oil, that they have the spices needed, that they have everything that goes over there. And he is the one who supervises and control that every goes smooth and there is a lot of security and health standards that has to be taken care of, and everybody has to put attention to that. Is also be sure that everybody is well trained, and no matter if you're a cook, if you're gonna get into a place, you need training because you need to know exactly what are they doing, how they doing, and what is the culture that they have in the restaurant that you're working on. So it's a lot of that, isn't it? And also maybe they make a PR, you know, they're gonna deal with a PR. The guys are gonna be out on the restaurants, show them their face when somebody is so happy that they want to talk to the chef, isn't it?
For sure.
But guys, it's gonna be always, you know, there is always a failure, isn't it? As the guy talked today, there's gonna be always something, it's gonna happen. Something, it's gonna be an employee who for any ABC happened, you know, he couldn't perform on the standards that we supposed to. They return a plate. Something happened, isn't it? He forget, you know, something. And yeah, the term of the meat was not okay. The plate comes a little late, and so on and so on. So, and if we don't put attention to that and be sure that we fix it immediately, that can create and affect the morale of the group. Don't you think, Chef?
Yes, totally. The morale would be pretty low and poor.
So if somebody down their hands a little bit or any circumstances, you know, we have to put attention to that. We're talking with human beings, isn't it? So discipline is something that can go in the middle when that happens, isn't it? Means the supervisor has to correct that behavior. So that has to go and ensure that this is well understanding the mistake that was taken and it's not going to happen. Yes, Haley.
Do y'all use OSHA by any chance with any of this? Or is that just like a all different type of thing?
I think OSHA is more like
Industrial?
Yeah, for your back and for your, you know, like more, I mean, we do OSHA stuff because OSHA compliance for like, if like 18, you know, you can't be, I think are 15 and use a meat slicer, OSHA requires that, or
yeah.
you know, type of deal. So there are some things that OSHA does, you know, that will help, but not all of it.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
we're
because I
gonna,
was like,
yeah,
my
we're
OSHA
gonna,
card.
yeah. So we're gonna see that OSHA and there is other regulations, government regulations that needs to be followed. You know, that's a minimum thing that needs to be followed. So through the years, you know, the workers have been working hard to protect themselves, and through the fight on the streets and many things that happened, you know, and the help of the local authorities, they start changing those laws and help to do it, you know. Like we're still behind on many countries, let me tell you. Let's see, like in Europe, people has 1 month vacation every year. And this is free vacation, pay, 4 weeks of vacation a year.
Go on holiday.
Yes, and they are pay vacation. We
Yep.
still don't have that kind of thing in the United States, isn't it? We still, they
No,
maybe
no.
they give you 2 weeks of vacation, but they don't let you take the 2 weeks at the same time. There's still a lot of that, isn't it? The same as if there is pregnancy, and as example in Europe, people has a lot of time. Like, you know, my daughter, she has a child, and she was out of the job for 6 months, and after 6 months, she only returned half of the time for another 4 months extra. So she's been like 10 months working, 6 months at home, paying, and 4 months that he has to go only half time to the office. And
Yeah.
they, after that, they give him, you know, 2 hours of feeding time, you know, for the children and all
Yeah.
that kind of things. So we still don't have that here in the United States. The same as time to breaks for lunch. Like if you go to Europe, everything is stopped at lunchtime. Everything stops at lunchtime. You go to a bank and it's not working. Everything is stopped and everybody get out and have lunch. They stop for 1 hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. And that's how it is here. Maximum 30 minutes, isn't it? So forget lunch. That's what people on lunchtime, they have no time to eat. So what we sell in lunchtime, you know, soup and a salad, you know, things that are very, 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 a
Very
sandwich, a sandwich and a soup and something that people go get faster and return. So, but it's very hard to see at midnight people during lunchtime, people sitting, you know, comfortable eating like you see in Europe. So there's still difference, you know, but it's that works that we have, you know, and we have here this idea, you know, that socialism is very bad because it's going to destroy the way that we live in America. But let me tell you, you know, there's a lot of developed countries that has what we call social democracy. You know, Germany is one of those cases, you know, Sweden, Denmark, a lot of countries in Europe, France, Spain, and all these, all the European community except England has that social thing. Even England, you know, you have education and medicine given by the state. So there's a lot of things that happen, and not necessarily seems that, you know, that is going to destroy the country and socially. It's the work of it's the hard work that people do during the fight for workings, isn't it? Like today, we are working and we are fighting in the street for the same rights, isn't it? That's a working process. We are still in the streets until that is going to happen, isn't it? And we're going to change the way the police is treating people and all that. And this is a work, but it's a work that is coming from the people. It's the same happen with the rights of the works. So little by little this changes, and then when that happens, we have all these things that protect the employees and all these laws that pertains. And there's difference on here and different levels on federal and locals, because depends of the cities, depends of the states, isn't it, Jeff?
Yes, that is correct.
So, but in a case of something happen in the restaurant, somebody mistakes, there's a behavior that we need to correct. Then what we have to be sure is that they're treated in a way that it is. We really have to find the source of that. What is the problem? Is the personal problem that the people has. It's a behavior that is not okay because the person has a bad attitude. Why that person has that bad attitude in work? Maybe it needs counseling. Maybe it's the result that he has problems at home. We're humans, isn't it? Nobody wants to do things that's against themselves. So it hates somebody, they get in a problem with somebody because romantic ideas, they're fighting for somebody, or I've been watching so much in these restaurants, somebody, is flirting with the wife of somebody, and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's like the result of many things that. So we have to be sure what is tolerated and what no. We have a frame, always mark it over there, what is where we accept and what is not accepted. And when somebody crosses the line, we have to put attention to that and be sure how do we fix it in immediate way. So that is very, very important, guys, and we have to act immediately,
I completely agree with you on that.
Yes. So and be sure, guys, this is the thing that we're going to talk because it's important. We praise it in public and we counsel it in private. That is something that is very important. When somebody do something good, we can do it in public and say, hey, you're doing so well, we appreciate. When somebody do something wrong, we cannot go in public and say, hey, you are doing, and this is not good. We have to do it privately and be sure that we understand why that person is doing that, whatever he do, or she he do, what mistake doing and why, and how can we solve that problem. It can be with the customers, it can be between employees, it can be a operational thing, it can be anything. So we have to be sure that we work. That's why, guys, it's one of the key things in a business, a restaurant business, is who you hire. We have to put a lot of attention on who we hire. So we don't have, bad apples that get into the business and destroy all the ideas of people having because you have a bad behavior that is somebody come with that, So.
For sure.
What do we try to do? We try to create a positive atmosphere, isn't it? That's something. And when we have to go to somebody and we have to reprehend it, we have to even say, be positive. It's like you said, like we have to do it. Like, Jimmy, you do great in this, but hey, we are concerned about this. What happened? So we not just go and says, hey, what are you doing? We're trying to treat people with respect. And when we identify the problem, we need to talk about this, and we have to then why that happened, and attack the problem, something, maybe it's just a mistake, and the person that says, just I was tired, are you not sleeping well? There's always should be a problem, isn't it? Maybe it's a human problem. Maybe it's an external thing. Maybe it's an internal thing. And we want to talk. And that the person that we talk, we have to create an ambience that everybody are free to talk without knowing that you're going to have reprehended, how is this action? We just to say what is that happen, and you have to be calm. You have to be, very attentive, watch the people in the eyes, and be sure that let them talk. And if they break any procedure, what you need to do is, where are you? Okay. How they gonna fix it, isn't it?
Yes.
But if it happened for second time, the same thing, if we have a repeated pattern, maybe it is a problem, isn't it, Chef?
Yes, it is a problem if it's a repeated pattern.
If that is repeating, it's a problem. So we have to take a little, maybe go ahead and with more action and says, okay, you have to read it, you have to do that. And and now I know that I have a problem over there with an employee. I have to keep myself safe. And I says, okay, I want you to understand, this is what I'm telling you, and you have to sign a paper telling me that you understand what I'm telling you. And that person, we have to go to that extreme, and that is kind of a warning, you know. When we put it on a paper, the person knows that that's go to his file, and that's going to affect his record. But that's, you know, an extreme thing when somebody is, you know, it just has a bad attitude, isn't it? And when a person has a bad attitude, we have to put close attention because we don't want that spread all over the place, isn't it? Why is that person doing that? Why is angry? Something happened. Or maybe it's a mistake to hire that person. That can be also, isn't it, Jeff?
Yes, I've hired some people that were mistakes for sure.
So sometimes they need a little counsel, isn't it? So you take it to the office or a place that is, you know, a part of the workplace. If they are working in the station, you take it out. When they are not working, you call them, you know, and says, okay, what's going on? Trying to open, talk in private, you know, what is that happened? Why is this problem is happening, you know? And so there is this counseling about the job that you're doing, isn't it? That you want to help the employee and what is it? But why if he has a problem? Now we discover that the person has a problem, isn't it? Then maybe what we need is get to another type of counseling, don't you think, Jeff?
Yes.
Maybe
you know, that would be personal counseling.
Yes, so maybe that we need a personal counseling. And yeah, we have many ways to do it, you know. Normally we don't want to handle personally. We want to have a professional on the back. There is organizations to do that. Maybe he has problem on his marriage, he or she, isn't it? And that's what's causing all this trouble. So he needs to fix that to get back on track. Maybe, you know, it's something that is, you know, he has a tragedy in the family, and that's affecting completely the way he get a disease that is affecting that he discovered that he has something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of course, it's going to affect his life. He's going to need counseling. So now we can have, so if the organization maybe is big, we can hire professionals to help on that, and we can bring them to help the employees, or we can send them. There's organizations to do that, isn't it, Chef? Like
for sure, there are organizations. There's you know, faith-based. There's all sorts of things. There's 1-800 numbers that you can call. All of that, but you know, I just know that counselors are amazing. You know, I don't ever have a bad stigma about counselors. You know, yes. When I was diagnosed with my cancer, I went to my counselor. I've had, you know, and it's not a form of weakness. It is just a form of being able to communicate and talk to people and get all of your worries and your fears out of the way. So
that's correct.
Please do not ever think it is a bad thing. I mean, I am a big advocate of you know, counselors or people a third party to talk to, because I think that's always a good thing.
Yes.
Anyway,
yes. So, but what happened is, you know, we don't want them to feel that we are pushing an employee to feel that we are pushing to a counselor, isn't it? It's like somebody has abuse of alcoholism and says, you know, No, you have to go right now to AAA. You have to get counseling. If the person don't want counseling, you cannot push that person to do something that they don't want it, isn't it? It has to be something that is personal. So you have you have to sell the idea that counseling is needed. Don't you think, Jeff?
For sure. But there are like I've had at a job where I had an employee, have a drinking problem, and I said, hey, to get your job back, to be able, you have to go to AA to deal with that, or take some time, medical leave of absence, to take care of your issues.
Yes.
But for sure, you don't want to push anybody, because if you push anybody, they're gonna, sometimes when they don't want it, they'll push back and get angry at you and all of that.
And also that we have to be very discreet when there has to be a lot of discretion when we do all those kind of things. Yes,
Totally
Haley.
discreet.
So one of the issues I had with my last company that I worked at, I asked to go to the ER. I couldn't find my normal manager, so I went to his higher up because I was like, hey, I need to go to the ER. And he sat there and told me that if I went to the ER, I was probably going to lose my job. And as I was standing there, my nose was bleeding due to high blood pressure, and I knew that's what it was. So I knew I needed to go. So I just didn't go because I didn't want to risk losing my job, which we had to talk to HR about that. And it was just a whole mess, but we figured it out after talking about the issue and whatnot.
But that's wrong. The supervisor tell you that you shouldn't do that. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong.
We were mad. We were all very mad. But we got to figure it out after.
We have students as example, in kitchen, there's a lot of people who get burned and get cut, isn't it? Because you work with knives. So that happened a lot. And there is, people that fails, carrying things. So that happened in the kitchen all the time. And so we have to be very attentive that as soon as something happens, we have to move it very fast and be sure that person receives the attendance that are needed.
For sure.
The only thing that we have to be careful is the complaints, that we don't cross the line of the law, isn't it? Yeah, like as example in the school, if we're working in the school, let me tell you this as something that is the law, isn't it? Like I cannot have a student in my car, as example. Like if one of my students get hurt, I cannot put it in my car by the law. I have to call the ambulance. I have to send it in a taxi, but I can't do it myself. So there is things that there's law in different states and different cities and things like that. You have to complain with the law standards also when you have to attend to these kind of things. I don't know if you have to say something, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, there's student fraternization policies and all of that we can't do as well.
Oh yeah, that's
So
for
I mean,
sure.
but there are quite a bit of laws for sure.
Yeah. Like I have students say, Chef, can I have you on my Facebook? No, we can't. It's don't let us that kind of things. So be sure that when we have to supervise someone, and if something happened, put the roots, get discreet, talk to the person, be sure that they understand the problem, and if it's repetitive, if it's doing second time, third time, and this is common as example. A common thing is, somebody get late to work, isn't it? That's a common thing. Yep. Somebody come late to work, and okay, that's not good, isn't it? Somebody coming late to work is not good. So what do you have to do? Guys, you have to get the person. So what about, let's put it about Martin. What would you do if you're in the kitchen and you're the chef and somebody get late?
I will have a talk with them, chef, because if they keep doing repeatedly, it's not acceptable, because it's gonna make us like fall behind and have to push someone in to take their spot.
Yes, exactly. So that's common thing can happen. And somebody come late. So immediately we have to get the bull by the horns, isn't it? And says, okay, what's happened here? Why are you late? And you have to understand what happened. You know, the guy had no transportation. What is all about? And you have to understand and be sure that person understand that needs to get that. But if the person if you have an open door to this, the person says, sorry, chef, I overslept. And if they talk the truth, you understand what happened, you know, as a person, okay. Why you oversleep? What happened? You know, did you go and went party? What was it? You have a problem. You're not sleeping. Why is that you oversleep? No, chef, I was so tired. You have to. You need to know the problem, isn't it? So we can fix it so it's not happening again and again and again. But if that person start coming again, then you have a problem, isn't it? That the person
sure.
doesn't care. Is not a thing that it's acceptable. So then you have to go and talk to him and says, you know, take it out, say it, you know, now you are doing it. This is not the first time that you come in late, you know. What is your problem? Why is that happening? And you know, this is going to affect your job if you're coming like this way, you know. It's next time probably what's going to happen is suspension. They're going to suspend you, and it says, you know, you're not going to come for days, for weeks, or whatever. And or maybe they can fire you. Why are you doing that? So, and then they have to be sure that they put it on record, isn't it? They're gonna put it on record that you are start doing that. So they start affecting your file, and then when these promotions and things like that, that's gonna affect, because the promotions and all these things is measured in the quality of your job. So when somebody do something, we need to be sure that we recollect all the information that is needed, isn't it? And that happened, as example, there's a fight. It was a fight yesterday in the kitchen. Yeah? And okay, so before you talk, you need to know what was happened, at what time, who were the witnesses and everything. And then you call the persons and start talking with them to see what's happened and has the both sides versions, and let them talk. You don't put it in any sides, you know. You have to be sure that you get the information, and then you have to put it together and get to a point that they get a reconciliation point with the two employees in front of you. They have to be sure that they learn to resolve their own problems, isn't it?
Yes.
You cannot impose solution.
Lyric, did you have a question?
Yes, I have a comment on the being late. So, you know, for some of us that live in Austin and that travel around, we know it sucks because of, you know, the events that come to town and the traffic and all that stuff. So it's really hard to get to work on time sometimes, even if you leave early enough to get there. So I had a chef that was understanding in the point, and then at this point I was also working like 4, 5 jobs or something like that. And literally I was just going from work to work all day. So I would go from overnight shift to washing dishes to midday shift to overnight shift back to washing dishes. So the days that I did come in late, he understood why I was actually coming in late. And he was so cool about it that he actually ended up washing dishes prior to me getting there. He said that him washing dishes was his sin because he was like, he enjoyed washing dishes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you probably communicated really well with that person to say, hey, it's not that I'm blowing you off or that I'm not wanting to be here. It's just and I think he probably understood that, so that's kind of why he was so cool. But the issue is you need to communicate that, and like you did, you need to communicate that ahead of time, right? Instead of, you know, later on, once you get there, you need to, you know, if you're going to be late, you communicate that ahead of time, not afterwards. Or the best way is to, you know, to tell them ahead of time. But you did.
And you know, when you have a problem, it's, you know, when you have confidence in the place that you work in, and I have a problem with traffic, I can call and say, Chef, I'm stuck in traffic. Sorry, it's not that I'm going to. The person knows what happened with you.
Yeah.
So there's communication is the more important thing, you know, in the workplace.
For sure.
So like no show, no call is really bad because it shows that there's no responsibility. At least that they cut your tongue, you have no phone. It's something that is really, really bad, you know. So.
And I had some people that, you know, I mean, I told them, you know, no matter what, you need to call me. I would get phone calls from jail, you know, collect call from jail. Hey, chef, I'm thrown in jail. I can't come into work. Okay. So, I mean, they're using, you know, they're calling me, telling me, as long as you have an open communication, I think that's the most important thing. No call, no show is hands down the worst thing, probably one of the worst things for me, for you to do for me.
Yes, I agree with that. So we try to help, you know, supervisors, we try to help. We don't try to use the power. We try to help everybody. That's the big thing. So the person who has to be correct the behavior needs to understand the impact of his behavior, you know, on the business, on the group, exactly. So he understands the cause of his mistake or whatever he does, isn't it? And when he understands that, they know the cost, you know, they really, really, you know, maybe the person, he or she will regret it, you know. So there is this, in case of extreme cases, you know, we're gonna get to that point. We get to this point that we have to make it, write a paper that says he understand. We have papers for that and says, you know, did you understand what I tell you? This is a warning, you know, so it's got to a warning.
A written warning.
Yes. So this that going to that point, and we're gonna discuss a little more in the next slides, that kind of thing. But mostly, you know, the first thing is correct behavior is something that we have. It's understand the process of identify the problem and then try to figure out how to fix it. So, you know, support intervention, that's what we talk, you know. If the person come to the office and we discover that is an external problem that is affecting his behavior, isn't it? And this is bad, maybe we go and he needs a support intervention for professionals, and that's what we talk, Chef Cliff, you know. It's better to do that, you know, in a professional way that really, really is going to help you to get out or to handle the problem that you have. Depends on how big is the problem that you have, and it depends on the person, and every person is different, don't you think, Chef?
Of course, every person's different. Every problem's different.
Yes. So employee support intervention is a counseling, is an employee support intervention, and that it usually is a short term. It's not a long-term intervention, it's a short-term intervention. And it's provide independent access to free confidential feedback related with the bureau or personal things that the person has, isn't it? The counseling process is this private counseling is it's about providing an employee a safe place to talk, isn't it, Chef? It's
yes.
Providing, you know, a place that a professional can hear and resolve the problem, that helps to resolve the problem that person that is really, really personal and affecting his lives. So that's something that is all about. So, but if the problem persists, maybe that's another type of thing that they have to do it. But we don't get into that. Maybe the counseling is going to come and says, no, that person needs this and this and that, and it will help to have a very nice and professional opinion of what is the problem. Like, mental issues, isn't it, Chef?
Yes. Depression, anxiety.
Yes. So they can say, the person is suffering from severe depression. Okay. So that's the case. We cannot, because of depression, we cannot fire the person, isn't it? We need to help and be sure that has medical support, put attention, what the doctor is saying, and all that. It's a teamwork. It's a team effort. We don't let the people go for that kind of thing. We try to help and give them enough support. So these workplace counselors offer support to people in organizations across all the nations, and it's all kind of sizes, isn't it? Like AAA, and there is support for people who have suicide calls, isn't it? There's many of that kind of organizations all over the nations. Also, they have numbers, telephone numbers, and things that helps people, and helps companies also to do. We have in the schools so many, for people who suffer from depression, and sometimes we put it even in the bathrooms, because it's private. You can take the number and call them if you have that, and this is part of the size of the workplace. We saw that idea to have that little kind of cards on the colors. We can measure how good the employees feel at the time that comes to work. That's awesome.
Yeah, I really like that.
So what are the type of actions that can happen when people require, the attention of the supervisors and go there, like excessive tardiness, people that are coming late frequently. No call, no shows, for sure, isn't it, Chef? Insubordination. Somebody get pissed off and don't want to hear. It really that's happened sometimes a lot. Anger, rude or abusive language in the workplace. We have a report, that somebody was using the F words to many people to get angry, and we really treat people bad. That's really bad. Harassment, any kind, isn't it?
Yes. Because
sometimes it's not a matter of talk, but attitude that people has, isn't it? Reports that somebody touched the butt of a girl and things like that, that is harassment. It's not acceptable, isn't it, Chef?
It is absolutely not acceptable. That could really be an issue, and just any sort of harassment is an issue.
Yes.
Zero tolerance.
Yes. Failure and on the Department of Policies, the rules we have, if you don't want to use the uniform properly, the uniform comes to work and the uniform was not clean, that kind of things, isn't it? The person has not proper hygiene, and those things are part of the rules and policies that we have on the restaurant, and then we have to put attention. And right now, guys, there's a lot of trouble sometimes in restaurants because of beers, isn't it? There's a lot of people that want to have, long hair, long beards, and the supervisors in the workplace don't like that. So there's a big thing that we have to intervene. We should intervene. We should obligate the people to cut their beards. We should obligate somebody to cut their hairs. What do you think, guys?
I think that would be a good thing, but sometimes it's a part of a person's religion or, their personal preference. But you could always use beard nets.
Yes. Haley.
If somebody told me to cut my hair, I'd probably be really upset because I'm growing it to donate it. Yeah. And I have been for the past 8-10 years. So.
Great. Yeah, I will be too. Oh, no more comments?
Well, I mean, my current workplace has a clean shaven policy. So every couple days I end up shaving.
Yeah.
Though I have severe psoriasis sometimes, so it can be a bit painful afterwards.
Oh, wow.
And do they understand?
No,
They don't-
it's
they don't make-
either shave or don't work that day.
Wow. So they don't have special accommodation for that type of problems.
No.
Well, yeah, I mean, I do know like some jobs will, require you to cut your hair. I mean, at my culinary school, when I couldn't have any hair touching the collar of my chef jacket.
Oh, the same as we have policies as example
Yeah.
for earrings
Yeah,
and piercing. No earrings, no piercings, isn't it, on the school?
Yes.
And there's a lot of trouble with the students that says, hey, I have this piercing that was chirurgically put it over there. And he's like, no, you have to go to the doctor and take it out. And big complaints on that because people think that they are that private part of their life, they shouldn't be part of the school policies. But that's part of the policy. So that's some, as Christopher said, you work there or don't. That's part of what it is. So sometimes there is these policies and their rules and people don't complain. That also needs to be put attention, isn't it? Otherwise, it's going to be chaos in the rest can be, dishonesty. Dishonesty can be many things. Somebody is lying. Somebody is not necessarily means thief, isn't it? But it's dishonesty in many ways. It can be put in there.
Abram, did you want to say something?
A lot of places, so I went to a school that was, guys had to be clean shaven, couldn't have colored hair that wasn't natural, couldn't have piercings that showed. A lot of places and a lot of jobs and stuff are very upfront about their policies. They don't hide them.
Yeah.
Like they don't hire you and then be like, oh, you have to shave your beard. Like if you walk in with a beard and they're interviewing you, they tell you. They're pretty upfront about it. So in that case, you would have to make the decision whether you would like to accept the job and shave your beard or continue looking for a job elsewhere.
For sure.
If they're really hiding that and you take that job and that's what happened, they didn't tell you and then they hired you and then they're like, oh, go shave your beard, in which case it's probably not a good job to have anyway.
Yeah.
Because a lot of in a restaurant, a lot of teamwork relies on trustworthiness and reliability, and that's creating a bad vibe from the very beginning.
Yeah,
for sure.
But I know at big companies like Disney don't accept anybody with beard or tattoos. If you have a tattoo, you cannot work in Disney.
They basically will say.
But they are big employers, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
So you cannot have tattoos in your arms, nothing that shows. If you have something that you cannot work with them. Period. So that's the rule. Working Disney is a big thing, and they come twice in a year to the school, isn't it, Chef?
Yes.
Hiring the students.
Oh yes.
What are you gonna say, Chef?
I can't remember. Don't worry about it. I'll probably remember later on.
So, so the basic rules and procedures of discipline, isn't it? The most basic things are writing in what we call the handbook. So every company, no matter what, if you have people, you need to have a small handbook, isn't it? Where they tell you what to do. So probably, guys, when you come to the school, they do give you a handbook, student handbook.
That or it might be a digital handbook now.
So you have a handbook for the students. Maybe it's digital, isn't it? You have to check it. But you have that handbook that you need to be sure that you read it, and you have to sign it that you already read it. So do they do that to you guys? Yes? There's it. Jonathan say yes.
Yes. Did they do like yeah, a couple people said yes.
So this is like a little Bible of the basic rules that we have, you know. How to wear this, we're talking about the beer, the uniform, come on time, how many hours you work, how are you going to be paid, all these basic things, isn't it, that is going to be read in the restaurant, how they're going to pay the hours, what the company expects from you, what type of things we have. It's all rated in the handbook, isn't it, Chef?
Yes, it is.
So, and when everybody comes, when there's orientation, they give them the handbook and says, okay, this is what you have to learn, and you have to read it. So guys, I always encourage, you know, as you are a student, you have a handbook, please read it, because you already signed that you accept what it says over there. So you cannot come in a point and say, I didn't know that. Yes, you have a handbook and all that is there. So, but we really want to know, but sure that that the person know what is in the handbook. We just not give them like a paper that you can throw it into the trash, isn't it? We want to be sure that that person understand everything that is written in the handbook, because it's the basic rules of working, and it's related to discipline, related to work, related to many other things, and there's many chapters that is there in the book, isn't it, Chef?
Yes, there is.
So guys, right now it's 12 o'clock. We're gonna make a little break. So we're gonna, it's 12:02. We're gonna get at 12:20, guys. Everybody back, okay?
12:20. All right. Thanks, Chef.
Okay, guys, we're going to start back. Can you please show yourselves, please? We have only 22 people, right? 23 people, Jeff, right now.
Yeah, there'll be some people coming in. We had like 30 some odd, or like 32.
So we're getting back to as a company, what you want to know when people come to work is that you want to know exactly what are the code of conduct that we have in the company, in the restaurant, whatever we have, and what are the basic rules that we have, isn't it? And we give them that in what we call an employee handbook. And they have to read it, they have to write it that they understand and they agree. These are the basic rules, isn't it? So now that we have that, normally, guys, when we run business, we don't want to have this bad punishing kind of policy that we have to try to punishing employees that go. We go with a discipline in a very, we call progressive discipline, isn't it? So what is progressive discipline? You know, we work with human beings and errors there, you know, but also at the same time, we want to be sure that it's recurrent. The person.
Jeff, could you share? You're not sharing your screen.
Thank you, Jeff.
Sorry.
There you are.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we call progressive discipline, guys. So even that we have an explicit code of conduct, you know, we handle this what we call progressive discipline. So if something is, if you have, you know, a small offense or something that is small, just a verbal reminder, isn't it? But the person still have a behavior that is not okay, then it's a second offense, you know. Then maybe it's gonna be a writing reprimand, isn't it? We're gonna be sure that we talk to the person and we make him sign something that says, you know, he understands that he's repeating his acts and we don't want that. And then maybe on a third time, maybe we're gonna say, okay, this is not okay, my friend. So we're not gonna throw you out of the job, but you're gonna get suspended. So think about it, and you're gonna get out 1 day, 2 days, whatever it is, isn't it? You get suspension. And then if the person keep doing that, maybe it's gonna go worse. Somebody's writing in the chat.
Okay. I got it.
So verbal reprimand, you know, we take the person aside. We don't talk in public, isn't it? We go outside, we put apart the person and we make them sure, understand that the actions that person do was not okay, and we want to know why, isn't it? Why that person do that? We get to the problem. And there you is. So irresponsibility sometimes comes in a way the person is tired, has personal problems. Who knows? We want to know what's happened. How can we fix it? Right? Then, you know, if it's a writing warning, that's a more serious thing. You know, the document explain what was the employee do wrong, and how that behavior affect others. Does not affect the environment, affect the workplace. And that it shouldn't happen again. And the intention of the person to correct his actions, isn't it? That's normally what you do in this kind of thing, and the person sign, know that he's doing it, and says, yes, I'm agree with you, and this not going to happen again. Okay.
Now,
yes, Chef.
For a written warning, I usually get my employees to sign it, right? Acknowledging that.
Yes.
Now, I have had employees before refuse to sign it. And, you know, like, I'm not going to sign this. This is bull, whatever. You know, I'm not going to sign it. And so what I do is at that point, I make a note and I say, refuse to sign on that document. I get someone, usually my sous chef or some sort of manager, to show, you know, to verify that this person didn't want to sign. So where when it comes back, even them not wanting to sign, they were acknowledged, you know, everything was presented to them. So it still is a legal document, even though that they might not sign it. But you need to write refuse to sign and put the date and the time and maybe even a witness.
Yes, that would be awesome if you had witnessed that the person refused to sign, and you sign it, and this, the document also is going to be like has more strong valid, isn't it?
Yes, that is correct.
Legally.
Legally.
This
yes.
is a legal document. So
yes.
that means the guy is writing his sentences, isn't it? When we're going to start, this is like not good. They go to the file of the person. Suspension, you know, it's hard, isn't it?
Oh, I hate suspending people.
This is kind of probation, isn't it? You are on probation. That's what suspension means. You are on probation. You are punishing. Yes, it's not good. You get out and you are on probation. So that means, you know, next one you're out. You're on probation. So you don't want to be in probation. It's a bad place to be, isn't it? And the last one will be termination, isn't it? The last one, you know, they kick it out. There it is, out, no more. And when that happened, you know, the person come, you have to sign a paper, the same thing. This is termination, sign it. This is all that you have warned. This is not happen. You are suspended, and now it's not keep going. You have to get out. The person don't want to do it. The same thing. You have witnesses that get it's the same valid, you know, things. And normally what you do is if a person has a behavior like that, you have to escort it out of the company. You want somebody to escort that person out. You don't want that person, you know, sneezing around the company, talking to others. You just want him out immediately, isn't it, Chef?
Yes, because they might be disgruntled, right? They just got fired or laid off or whatever, but they're disgruntled. You know, for sure, you know, have them, you know, walked out, or, you know, depending on what it is, sometimes, you know, I will wait until the very end of the day to do it, just because I don't want any huge drama or whatever else. But yes, for sure.
Yes, Chef. So I'm going to put a video about this.
I see it.
Okay.
Ron just isn't performing at the level that he needs to. Job right now is to do the weekly production report, but the only thing he seems to focus on is the company fantasy baseball league. I'd like to just ignore it, but this problem isn't fixing itself, and sooner or later I'm going to have to do something.
I just don't know what to do about Lisa. She shows up late every other day, takes breaks whenever she feels like it, and when I try to talk to her about it, she pretty much ignores me. It's confusing to me. I take pride in my work, and I don't really understand someone who doesn't.
So click on a cell.
Step 1 in the process is to provide coaching and training to the employee. Behavior problems are sometimes the result of inadequate skills or knowledge.
You feeling more comfortable now with the new reporting software? It's a bit more complicated than what you were used to.
It's definitely more complicated, but I think I'm picking it up.
Good. Let's get together this afternoon. We'll review some more of the new features. What do you say, 3 o'clock?
Sounds good.
In this beginning phase, you informally do what you can to help the employee recognize and solve the problem.
Lisa. Morning. Listen, I noticed you've gotten to work late 3 or 4 times in the last couple of weeks. Is there anything going on that you want to talk about or that I can help you with?
No, just had some car trouble this morning, but I took care of it, so everything's good.
Okay. It's just that it is important you show up on time. You've read the company guidelines about tardiness, right? You know that being on time is important here.
Darren, don't worry about it, okay?
Now it's time to get the employee's agreement to change. Make sure they know exactly what they're committing to.
Do you agree that you'll start showing up for work on time and that you'll stop taking unauthorized breaks during your shift?
I'll try.
Lisa, trying won't make it happen. Now, I know you can do everything that we're asking of you because you did when you first started here. I'm asking you to make a real commitment.
Okay. I'll do it. Shouldn't be a problem.
Great.
Ron, do you agree to get your reports in on time from now on? And to check it over to make sure any mistakes are corrected in time before the meeting?
It's what I've always been trying to do. So yes, I will get my report in on time and reduce the errors.
Next, you both need to come up with an action plan together.
I'd like to help you with this. How about if Drew Snyder tutors you on your job skills a few times a week?
I've been here 3 years longer than Drew.
I know, but I think that Drew has a better understanding of the new reporting system than you do. Let's see if he can help you raise your skills.
Okay.
And I know that you and a couple of the other employees are really into a fantasy baseball league. And that's great. Just try not to let it interfere with your work.
I don't think it interferes with my work.
That's good. I'm just reminding you not to participate in it while you're on the clock, okay?
Sure.
In the coming weeks, you'll be monitored pretty closely. I'll follow up weekly to see how you're doing. If we see improvement, then everything's fine.
And if not?
Well, if your performance doesn't improve, the next step will be a short suspension.
Wow. Suspension? That won't be necessary. I can totally be here on time, and I'll call my friend back at lunchtime.
Great.
So that's what we call progressive discipline, isn't it? Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, yes.
So that's the way to handle progressive disciplines, because it's really, and we want to be sure that all these things that happen, we have enough documentation for that, so there is no discrepancy later on, and there's no problems, legal problems, if there's complaint for the employee that this is something that happened to that person, because it's common that when this type of things happen, the person can be defended and this, says, oh, there is, racist, the guys are racist or something, that it's just a defensive way to do it. But if you have everything on file, there's no way to complain because where you are.
Sure.
Everything is documented. Guys, one thing that I'm going to talk right now is that that I found really interesting is the way that we perceive the good and the bad things that happen to ourselves. And we have to be very careful on these type of things. When we remember, when the things that we remember most in our lives are the good or the bad things, what do you think happened? That's my question. Will you remember more? What things affect more in your lives? The positive things that happen in your life or the negative things that happen in your life?
Someone wrote, Larrick wrote both. Trinity wrote both. Ruben, like a little bit of both.
Of course, positive things and the negative things are going to affect our lives. But the ones that we normally put more attention and is really sticking in our soul are the negative things that happen to ourselves. And the same happen when we have to put attention to other people. What we're trying to see, if we know the negative part of that person, is the things that stay longer than the positive parts of that person. Let's see, somebody really treat you bad to you, and that person was completely wrong and harass you, do something, you will remember all the time. That person changed his behavior. Now is a good person. How you perceive that person? You still now you know that he's a good person? No, it's not going to change your opinion. It makes sense? For you, that person is still a bad person. And so
you're not sharing, Chef.
I'm not sharing because I'm not putting.
Oh, okay. Okay, no, that's fine. I just want to make sure. Sorry.
So when we work with humans and human interaction, we have to be very careful of how we interact with the things that happen to us, and how can we we want to be sure that we can have the right attitude to the right things. It makes sense. So if somebody make a mistake, doesn't mean that he's a bad employee. You know what I mean? We cannot keep it. That person do that. That's it for me. That's it.
You can't hold a grudge.
Yes, you cannot hold that. It's gonna take a minute to come, Chip, but it will.
That's fine. No, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure. Well, I remember what I was going to say. We were talking about cutting beards and all of that and trimming, that companies will say, hey, you need to, not have a beard or whatever else. I worked for a company that later, many years down the road when I was with them, they were like, hey, we're going to be a smoke-free, tobacco-free facility and tobacco-free employees. So my company gave us a 1 year to basically not be using any tobacco products whatsoever, or if we were still using it within a year, we would be terminated. So I mean, they do give you grace period, but you've got some companies will change their job descriptions and all of that and make you do certain things. And if you want to work there, you would have to stop smoking or using tobacco. So
there's policies as example in many hotels. If you work in hotels, and this is these drug policies, you accept when you work that they can give you a drug testing at any time.
Yeah.
So they can come at any time and says, okay, go to the bathroom, somebody pee, give it that, and that's it. And they have completely, prohibit the use of improper drugs. If you have a drug system, you have to really be sure that before they make the tests, they give them an inform that you have some kind of drugs in your system because you have a medical issue or something like that. Otherwise, you're out. And that's something that is anytime they can go, they can come the time that they wanted, that 2 to 3 times or never. But if you sign it, that's it, isn't it, Chef?
Yes.
So that's many kind of agreements that are writing on the handbook. You know, the company has the right to ask for a drug test anytime they want.
Yes.
So perception is something that we have with people, isn't it? So if somebody's working and we have a perception of that people and it's a negative perception, it's hard to change the way that we think, even that the person maybe is not like that. It makes sense? So we have to put attention to that and be sure that we really, when we have to judge other people, we have to put attention how we do it. So this is about that.
Imagine that you just received some negative information about me just before this talk. Maybe he or she who's with you today has heard some rumors about me. Some rumors about me being incompetent, being a liar, being a bragger, that I wear women's underwear. How much do you think that would affect your image of me right now? As a psychotherapist working with occupational health, I met countless employees and leaders who are suffering from a toxic and unhealthy working environment. They are struggling because they're lacking knowledge how to change the environment. They need outside help. I've tried to help them and failed, times and times again. I've tried conflict resolutions, group discussions, individual interviews, leadership coaching, failing time and time again to change this unhealthy working environment. So, 10 years ago, I started a little investigation of my own. I was trying to figure out, why is it so hard to change? And I found out that a great number of employees and leaders were talking negatively about their colleagues when they were not present, namely backbiting. So the definition of backbiting is talking negatively about the third person who's not present. I have a question for you all. Please raise your hand if you think backbiting takes place at your workplace or place of study. Please raise your hand. Wow, okay, thank you very much. It's not exact, but I think about 90% of you raised your hand. In ancient Greece, the great philosopher Socrates met an acquaintance on the street. An acquaintance said, "Hey, Socrates, have you heard the latest news about your friend?" And Socrates says, "No, but before you tell me this news, I want you to pass a little test. It's called the triple filter test." The triple filter test, is that? Okay. First question, do you know what you're going to tell me about my friend? Is it true? Well, no, I just heard it. I don't know. Okay. You could still pass the test. The second question, is it anything good you're going to tell me about my friend? Oh no, on the contrary, he said, nothing good. Okay. You may still pass the test. The third question, is what you're going to tell me, is it useful? Oh no, it's not useful. Okay, Socrates said, first of all, you don't know if it's true. Second, it's nothing good. Third of all, it's nothing useful. Why bother tell me? Do you know who in our society today that backbites? Yes, women. It's women. It's another major group as well, namely men. And why do we backbite? When I backbite, I've got this feeling of elevating myself while talking other people down. In an additional bonus, I seem interesting because I got some juicy information that you don't have. This is how we as adults are bullying each other. I have a second question for you. Please raise your hand if you want to work in a place there is no backbiting going on. No gossip. Okay. Thank you very much. It's interesting, right? How to get the permanent end to backbiting. I've done one genius thing in my life. I think this is it. I call it Gossip 2016. And this is how you can all apply it in your workplace if you want to. First of all, you gather a group. Perhaps not as many as you are. Second of all, you ask the first question. Do you believe backbiting takes place here? And they will raise their hand. Third, you need to define what backbiting is. Use this triple filter test. It's good, right? Fourth, ask the second question. Would you like to work in a workplace where there is no backbiting? And they will raise their hand. Then you get a good old-fashioned flip over. And you capitalize Gossip 2016, and you ask your group if they want to join to a project that will last for 6 months. No backbiting takes place here. And they will sign. This is what obligates them. After they signed, you get this sheet in a glass frame, you put it on the wall where everybody can see it. And for every week, for the next 6 months, you ask the group, how are we doing with Gossip 2016? This may seem simple, maybe naive. Too good to be true, right? But it works. I know. And it's over 250 CEOs in different companies that could verify this. It works. They can also tell you that absenteeism, the sick leave, goes down. And fractionation are minimized. And the productivity is increasing. If we take this concept a bit further, you all heard about the discussions about how young people and children are being bullied at schools and in social medias. I think that I, as an adult, has the responsibility to be a good role model. I have to stop talking negatively about my uncle, about my neighbor, about my colleague, about my mother-in-law, around the dinner table at home. Because if I don't do that, I'm actually saying to my children, it's okay to talk negatively about the third person who's not there. New consciousness commits. Thank you for your attention.
So, let me get this. Interesting, isn't it?
Yes, it was.
But I'm not done with you guys. I want you to watch another one that is connected to this, so you just see. The one that you saw, there you are. So this is the thing, guys. When we have a bad perception of somebody, isn't it? That bad perception sticks on your mind, no matter if the person changed or not. And that's something that is a fact. That's why we have to be very careful how to deal with people when we have to judge other human beings, isn't it, Jeff?
Yes.
So there you are. I want to show you this.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Chef, it's not Sharon.
You really don't want me to, so instead.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Hi, everyone. Gosh, I wish I could dance, but I can't, and you really don't want me to. So instead, I thought I would talk a little today about how people think. I'm fascinated by this question. I'm a social psychologist, which basically means I'm a professional people watcher. So this is what I do. I try to figure out how humans think and how we might be able to think better. And here's something I noticed a few years ago about how I seem to think. Here's a typical week in my life, which usually seems to revolve entirely around publishing papers. So here I am in the maximum of my artistic abilities as a stick figure, going along at baseline, and a paper gets accepted. I get this rush, this blip of happiness, and then I'm back to baseline by about lunchtime. A few days later, a paper might get rejected, and that feels pretty awful. And I wait for that blip to end, but somehow I just can't stop thinking about it. And here's the craziest part. Even if another paper gets accepted the next day, well, that's nice, but somehow I can't get that pesky rejection out of my head. So what is going on here? Why does a failure seem to stick in our minds so much longer than a success? Well, together with my colleague Amber Boydston in the political science department, I started thinking about this question of do our minds get stuck in the negative? We all know intuitively that there are different ways of thinking about things. The same glass, the saying goes, can be seen as half full or half empty. And there's a lot of research in the social sciences showing that depending on how you describe the glass to people, as half full or half empty, it changes how they feel about it. So if you describe the glass as half full, this is called a gain frame because you're focusing on what's gained, then people like it. But if you describe the same glass as half empty, a loss frame, then people don't like it. But we wondered, what happens when you try to switch from thinking about it one way to thinking about it another way? Can people shift back and forth, or do they get stuck in one way of thinking about it? Does one of these labels, in other words, tend to stick more in the mind? Well, to investigate this question, we conducted a simple experiment. We told participants in our experiment about a new surgical procedure, and we randomly assigned them to one of two conditions. For participants in the first condition, the first group, we described the surgical procedure in terms of gains. We said it had a 70% success rate. And for participants in the second group, we described the procedure in terms of losses. We said it had a 30% failure rate. So it's the exact same procedure. We're just focusing people's attention on the part of the glass that's full or the part of the glass that's empty. Perhaps unsurprisingly, people like the procedure when it's described as having a 70% success rate, and they don't like it when it's described as having a 30% failure rate. But then we added a twist. We told participants in the first group, you know, you could think of this as a 30% failure rate, and now they don't like it anymore. They've changed their minds. And we told participants in the second group, you know, you could think of this as a 70% success rate, but unlike the first group, they stuck with their initial opinion. They seemed to be stuck in the initial loss frame that they saw at the beginning of the study. We conducted another experiment. This time we told participants about the current governor of an important state who was running for re-election against his opponent. We again had two groups of participants, and we described the current governor's track record to them in one of two ways. We said that when the current governor took office, statewide budget cuts were expected to affect about 10,000 jobs. And then half the participants read that under the current governor's leadership, 40% of these jobs had been saved. And they like the current governor. They think he's doing a great job. The rest of the participants read that under the current governor's leadership, 60% of these jobs had been lost. And they don't like the current governor. They think he's doing a terrible job. But then, once more, we added a twist. For participants in the first group, we reframed the information in terms of losses. And now they didn't like the current governor anymore. And for participants in the second group, we reframed the information in terms of gains. But just like in the first study, this didn't seem to matter. People in this group still didn't like the current governor. So notice what this means. Once the loss frame gets in there, it sticks. People can't go back to thinking about jobs saved once they've thought about jobs lost. So in both of these scenarios, actually, the current governor gets ousted in favor of his opponent. Well, at this point, we were getting curious. Why does this happen? Could it be that it's actually mentally harder for people to convert from losses to gains than it is for them to go from gains to losses? So we conducted a third study to test how easily people could convert from one frame to another. This time, we told participants, imagine there's been an outbreak of an unusual disease and 600 lives are at stake. And we asked participants in one group, if 100 lives are saved, how many will be lost? And we asked participants in the other group, if 100 lives are lost, how many will be saved? So everyone just has to calculate 600 minus 100 and come up with the answer of 500. But whereas people in one group have to convert from gains to losses in order to do that, people in the second group have to convert from losses to gains. We timed how long it took them to solve this simple math problem. And what we found was that when people had to convert from gains to losses, they could solve the problem quite quickly. It took them about 7 seconds on average. But when they had to convert from losses to gains, well, now it took them far longer, almost 11 seconds. So this suggests that once we think about something as a loss, that way of thinking about it tends to stick in our heads and to resist our attempts to change it. What I take away from this research and from related research is that our view of the world has a fundamental tendency to tilt toward the negative. It's pretty easy to go from good to bad, but far harder to shift from bad to good. We literally have to work harder to see the upside of things. And this matters. So think about the economy. Here's economic well-being from 2007 to 2010. And you can see it tanked, just like we all remember. And then by late 2010, it had recovered by most objective measures. But here's consumer confidence over the same time period. You can see it tanks right along with the economy, but then it seems to get stuck. Instead of rebounding with the economy itself, consumers seem to be psychologically stuck back there in the recession. So oddly then, it may take more effort to change our minds about how the economy is doing than to change the economy itself. On a more personal level, what this research means to me is that you have to work to see the upside. Literally, this takes work. This takes effort. And you can practice this. You can train your mind to do this better. There's research out of UC Davis showing that just writing for a few minutes each day about things that you're grateful for can dramatically boost your happiness and well-being and even your health. We can also rehearse good news and share it with others. We tend to think, right, that misery loves company, that venting will help get rid of our negative emotions, that we'll feel better if we just talk about how terrible our day was. And so we talk, and we talk, and we talk about the boss who's driving us crazy, and the friend who never called us back, and the meeting at work where every little thing that could go wrong did. But we forget to talk about the good stuff. And yet that's exactly where our minds need the most practice. So my husband, who has this disconcerting habit of listening to what I say other people should do, and then pointing out that technically speaking, I'm a person too, has taken to listening to me for about 2 minutes on days when I come home all grumpy and complaining about everything. And he listens and he says, okay, but what happened today that was good? And so I tell him about the student who came up to me after class with this really interesting, insightful question. And I tell him about the friend who emailed me out of the blue this morning just to say hello. And somewhere in the telling, I start to smile. And I start to think that maybe my day was pretty decent after all. I think we can also work in our communities to focus on the upside. We can be more aware that bad tends to stick. One mean comment can stick with somebody all day, all week even. And bad tends to propagate itself, right? Somebody snaps at you and you snap back, and you snap at the next guy too. But what if the next time somebody snapped at you, you forgave them? What if the next time you had a really grumpy waitress, you left her an extra large tip? Our minds may be built to look for negative information and to hold on to it. But we can also retrain our minds if we put some effort into it and start to see that the glass may be a little more full than we initially thought. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's being able to look at it in a different way.
So, 2 things about these guys. That's my thoughts, and maybe you can give your thoughts also, Jeff. And my thoughts is, 1, be careful, guys. Don't judge other people. And we normally has that tendency to judge other people, you know. It's hard to do it, not to do it. But don't do it if the people is not in front of you. If you want to talk to somebody, talk in front, never in the back. Backbite is not good. And second thing, you know, create a bite back environment when people is talking from each other's on their backs. It's really a bad symptom, because when you think that that person is bad, then it's very hard to take it out of your mind, even that is not true. It makes sense? So we have to put attention to that and don't fall on the game of, you know, gossips and things that are very common in the workplace, isn't it? And make us have the wrong impression of the people. That's the one thing that really, really ruins and create a very, very, very toxic environments on the job place. And the second thing, guys, is one of the hardest things that we have as professionals, and this is from my experience, and I think that Jeff Cliff agree on that, because we already talked about these things, is if you have a restaurant that is not working good, and we have that bad feeling, and the people that are tired, they're not working good, that is not, try to fix it is the hardest thing to do. Because even for the workers, change that idea of the bad behaviors that are having, you know, of the bad ideas is the worst things that happen. Make a business success is the hardest, almost impossible to do it. So it's really, really hard. Sometimes what we have to do when these kind of things happen is, you know, we have to rebuild this. We have to start from zero, and because it's hard to rebuild with the same group of people that are doing the same thing, because it's very hard to change the negativity from their own minds. So there you are, guys. What do you think, Chef Cliff?
I thought it was great. I mean, for sure, it's a different way of thinking. You know, yes, and this is kind of where and I'm going to talk a little personal real quick. You know, but you know, when I was diagnosed with leukemia, I was angry. I was pissed. I was frustrated, you know, everything, right? So I had to learn how to live my life not angry, and you know, in being able to look at, you know, hey, other people have problems. If you looked at me right now, you wouldn't know I probably have leukemia, but I do. So it's one of those things where people have problems. You've just got to kind of understand that, you know, people have bad days, and you can't hold that grudge, because if you do, it's going to affect your workplace, you, everything else.
Yes. So I want to hear your experience on these things, guys, and these topics. If you want to share with us, would be fantastic, guys. Anybody? You're not brave to talk?
Yeah, no, I mean, you can always try to help people to change, you know, if they're having some problems or some issues, but I mean, it's really, you know, it's up to them if they want to change, because it's, you know, you can, like I said, always want to help, but then again, it's really up to them to want to change and to accept the help also.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sure. Trinity.
So we do tend, I don't know, well, I'm gonna speak for myself, but I do tend to rant about like the negative things of my day, and I don't ever like focus on like, hey, this person actually like you know, spoke to me today and said I was pretty or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't even come to mind whenever I was ranting about the negative.
Yeah.
So I guess I do need to change that, you know, mindset.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And this is something that we normally do, you know, because it changes the way that they're easy, you know, how we perceive the life. It's through that eyes we're gonna start watching everything. If we and that it's a lot with what happened in our lives, you know, that make us feel and trust with other people in the way that we communicate ourselves. And like your example, you know, come back and feel, you know, all the bad things that happened, you know, we can start thinking, you know, what the good things that happened instead of the bad things. We start changing a little bit the way that we then feel better about ourselves, because life is a work in progress. Don't you think, Trinity?
Yes, Chef. And like the video said, I think, I don't know who said, but we do have our bad days, you know. Not every day is going to be like a really good day, you know. And so like we may have our times where we do, you know, rant about the negatives in our day.
I agree with you. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that. Something else? Anybody, guys? Come on. Be brave.
Well, I mean, I'm usually just a quiet type, so, you know, I don't talk much about any experiences throughout my day.
You don't like, but but you don't like to talk, but you feel. So how do you deal with your bad experience?
I usually just try. My favorite thing's just spending outside in nature, and then I can just, while I'm out, just forget about my past days.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, that's awesome. You know, that is kind of an awesome thing. You know, but I can give you a lot of examples. You know, that things that are hard to do it. You know, but I want other people to speak, not just me. Thank you so much for that comment.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that.
Chef.
Martin, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I learned how to progress through negativity because I was going through depression like a while ago because three of my family members passed away from cancer. My parents were getting divorced, but I took that, to grow up. Like don't let the negativity push you down. Like just use it as a motivation to keep on going up.
Yes.
That is great.
That's a great. Let me tell you that's a very, very savvy thing to tell. It's for a young person, it's very mature to say that. Totally agree, and I hope you inspire others with that.
Joe wrote, you have to get it out. You don't want to bottle it up because it will stress you out and cause more problems.
So when something happened to you, it's stick in your mind forever, and it's really, really, really hard to take it out. I'm gonna talk by myself. Like I was suffering from abusive behavior when I was young. I have an abusive father, that used to kick my butt all the time. And when I was adult, I was angry about that, very angry. And whatever happened in my life, I was thinking, this happened because of him. And I put him an excuse of all the bad things that could happen in my life. It was because of him. And when I started doing, all this Buddhism and these things, that helped me in my life to do, and then recovery, that, no, that's part of my past, but that's not gonna define me as an individual. I can change the behavior and change my life. I'm not gonna do that with my children, and that's gonna change my life. That's not gonna make it suffer, isn't it? So it's something that you need to change, but this is something that works, because I want to put that today because it works. Negative things that stick in your soul and take them out and let you breathe. It's really hard to do it, but it's something that is possible.
Yeah, that's amazing that you were able to turn that thinking around. That's amazing.
And this is something that is important. You have to discover, guys, that freedom means that you have to take your life in the way that you really want it. So you start losing freedom when you let other persons interfere with your thoughts and with your desire and with your plans, isn't it? You lost your freedom. More that you don't let people do that, you're gonna be more freedom. If you have to put attention on what other people said, you stop listening what you have to say. And when you have to you have your plans about yourself, you start listening what are your plans. Don't think about other people's plans about yourself. It's you, it's your life and yourself, what you think about what's going to happen in your life, because you are the only driver of the horse on your life, isn't it? My father used to say, in the life you are the driver of a how do you say this? Like a wagon with the two horses, and you have a black horse and a white horse, and every horse trying to take it from one side of the road and another horse. And you, as driver, is the one to take the horses on the trail that you want to do, because you are the one where has the how do you call the controls that you have with the reins. The reins of the horses, and that's completely true, isn't it? At the end, you are the only one who has the reins of that. And when we have experience and you put it in the workplace, it's the same exactly thing. Your actions are going to have reactions completely in the way that the business is going to work. The more respectful and more straight that you're going to be, you're going to create that culture. You're going to help others to get into that goodness that always is inside of us. Other opinion, guys. What do you think, guys?
Honestly, with the negative things that happen to you, you just got to look at them and learn what you can from them. And then as soon as you've figured out how you can better yourself from the situation, put it behind you, and only think ahead of what's coming.
Yeah,
that's so true.
Completely true. Completely true. So, yeah. So we already take a break. So remember, guys, when we get to the workplace and we have to put measures and we have to talk about disciplines, you know, discipline is not something that is going to come as a surprise for the employee, isn't it? Occasionally, you know, the employees are unaware of their supervisor's dissatisfaction, and that's not true. That's not a good thing, isn't it? Somebody's looking at you is not happy. They never tell you. So one day they come and tell you this and this and that, and it's a complete surprise. That would be really bad, isn't it, Chef?
Oh yeah.
So we have to avoid the situation, and it has to be a very open doors and very open windows, and everybody has to be able to talk, isn't it? If you make something wrong, I have the right to go and say, hey, this is what was wrong, you know, and I'm go straight and talk to you, because that's the way that you create, you know, a very healthy environment when there is freedom of speech. Yes, don't get into a culture of a punish, because that is really bad, isn't it? We should be in a culture of training, learning process, you know, and understanding the needs of people, and be sure that you can serve the needs of that people in order to be sure that they can work with happiness and with all what they need to be sure that they have a healthy environment to work. What do you think, Jeff?
I think a healthy environment is the only way to go. You know, I mean, I've left jobs because it's just so unhealthy, and it affects my marriage. I mean, it'll affect me on how I deal with my kids. I mean, it's not a good thing. So an environment like that is not a healthy environment.
Yeah. So last thing, you know, there is all these things that happen, you know, there's all these laws, you know, there's like this Family and Medical Leave Act and many others, you know, that if somebody gets sick, you can also get, you know, special, you can add for this family medical leaves, you know, that maybe help you in some situations. And like that, there's many others, you know, and more that you know about the situation is better, because you can have a real support of the states. But this, in here in the United States, you have some that are, you know, federal things and some are locals. So you have to be sure that you have to aware what's happening in your city, what happened in your state, that how can the state help you as a worker, and what are you supported with. So good support is good, guys. Then you know that you have that, you're paying your taxes, you have that support. So in case of necessity, you can handle it, isn't it? So there you are. So that's the last thing about this. So before we leave, we're gonna get a little go ahead and go, because next week we're gonna start working with the spreadsheets, and I wanna make a little review of what we do. I think was Monday or Sunday, I can't remember. So we're gonna get back to the spreadsheets and get a little training again and how to handle the spreadsheet. So we have to work next week on costing recipes, guys. So let me open one. Give me 1 second. So last week we do a little inventory sheet, isn't it? We go and work with the inventory sheet. So we're gonna get Guys, open your Google page and get back to your inventory sheets, please. So if you are ready, thumbs up, please, so I know that you are ready with your spreadsheets.
We got a lot of thumbs up.
Okay. Now I'm open in mind, so I can work with the same thing as you guys. My internet is so slow, Chef.
Yes.
Must be many children around here and using the.
Yeah. If you want to try to turn off your video. Oh, okay.
It's coming, Chef. It's coming.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just trying to help you.
It is, if I stop the video, you think it comes out? Let me see. There you are. Maybe it's that one.
So are most of y'all going to be moving here next 6 or at the end of this 6 weeks? Or are y'all going to be staying in Austin or staying where y'all are? Like
I'm going over there, Austin. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
I move on the 25th.
Okay.
I'm only moving if they absolutely say I have to.
Where are you at?
I'm in Dallas.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think you can do 100% online if you want to.
Well, originally I was going to get financial aid to help me move because I quit my 11-hour job to come to school because they could not work around my school schedule.
Oh.
And so trying to get a job because I've only worked in the automotive field and bartending. So
oh yeah, that's right. And
so
bars
doing
are
culinary
closed.
is a little bit different for me right now.
Yeah.
But So unless because financially it didn't work out, so unless they find another solution, I don't think I'll be moving down there, which I want to. It's just I can't afford it.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Hey chefs, the page that I sent y'all already, I was using the other computer because I hadn't gotten mine in. So the other computer, I just grabbed it right now, and I guess they had deleted it off of their computer. Is there any way y'all can send it back to me?
Delete what?
That spreadsheet.
Oh, Joshua, let me check right now.
Thank you.
Give me 1 second.
What day did y'all do this, or did we do this spreadsheet?
That was
It must have been the day that I went to the doctor, that Friday.
I want to check and share
Yeah,
drives.
and Joe is shaking his head, yes. So it must have been that Friday that I was at the doctor. So last Friday. Sean?
Yes, Chef, it was last Friday.
Oh, cool. Sean, did you have something? You've got your hand up. Or do you may lower it? I got it.
No, I'll lower it.
Okay, I took care of it.
Share with me. So I can find I'm going to start with this from 0, so I can show you again, and you can go again and check that what you're doing is the right thing. But Joshua was the one who was needed, Chef.
Joshua, yes.
Let me check.
Are we making a new spreadsheet, or are we using the one from Friday?
We can use the one that you can have it.
Lauren, did you, Bailey, did you have that? Or do you need that shared to you as well? You're muted.
Yeah, will you share that with me, please?
So
I need it.
Pablo, could you share it to Lauren Bailey as well?
So I have right now Joshua here, and I'm going to put it back, send it back to him. And
Thank
who
you.
else? Haley wants hers?
Lauren Bailey.
Okay, so okay. Joshua, I'm sending you back, okay?
Thanks, Chef.
What are we, someone asked, what are we?
I already did Joshua, and let me do it with you, Haley.
Okay.
Yes, Chef.
Colton was asking, what are we exactly doing? We're going to be working on a spreadsheet, like an Excel spreadsheet, or I think it's called Google spreadsheets.
So did he already work on that or not yet? That's my question.
I don't know. Colton, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Did you already work on the spreadsheet or not yet?
I have my inventory spreadsheet from like last week.
Yeah,
that's what we're talking about.
We're going to work on that. We're going to work on that, okay?
All right, so Timothy, you know what? How about this? Well, who else doesn't have it? Timothy says he doesn't have it. Anybody else? So where we can...
I have it from Friday.
Oh, okay. All right.
So Haley, I'm sending you right now, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry, Trinity. My eyes are not good enough. I just saw a T and that was Trinity, sorry.
So Haley, I'm resending you, okay? Haley.
Oh, Trinity said she has it. Or I don't have it.
Are you saying Bailey or Haley?
Haley again, you want it, isn't it?
No, I have my spreadsheet.
Oh, okay, you have yours.
I think it was Bailey.
Lauren Bailey.
Yeah.
Who was the person?
I don't have it. Lauren Bailey.
Lauren, not Lauren is the one who needed
Yes,
it.
sir.
Okay.
The other two are Trinity and Martin. Those are the last, I believe. Unless someone wants to speak up and say anything else.
Timothy, you don't have it, or you don't have it right now, but you already made it. Timothy,
I don't have. She said she doesn't have it.
Trinity, Seth. It's Trinity.
Yeah, Trinity.
Okay, so Timothy has his own.
Yeah, it's
Yes, sir.
Trinity.
Hey, where do I find it on the dashboard? I'm looking at the notifications and the messages, but I don't see where to find it.
Google Drive. Share files.
Are you using your school email? Because you've got to be using school email through the Google Drive.
So let me tell you, Chip, I don't have her.
Okay. I'll try to send one after class to her.
So, okay, I'm not gonna lose more time, so we're gonna get straight from zero. I'm gonna show you the ones that already don't work. You can just make little reviews, isn't it? So,
and I'll record this so everybody can watch this again.
I'm gonna start again from zero, Chip, so they can see the whole operation, okay?
Sounds great.
And I'm gonna share this. There you are. So if you get to your front page of the school, you know, you have all this. You get here, it says apps. Click the apps. These are Google apps, and you have all the Google apps where you can have your Gmails, your Google Drive, you know, or YouTube, or documents, or slides, or sheets. So we're gonna get here, and you're gonna click where the spreadsheets are. So you just click it, and the front page of the spreadsheets are gonna come, and we're gonna start a new one. So there you are. We want a blank one? Yes, we want a blank because I have all these people's students that share with me, Bella and everybody. You see, there you are, the inventory. And there's that beautiful jobs that somebody, Ashley, do beautiful jobs, put colors, and there you are. So, but those of you who miss it, we're gonna start with blank. Click blank.
Chef, I can't see your spreadsheet. All I just see.
Okay, I'm gonna start again. There you are. Yep.
Yeah, now it's there. Thank you, Chef.
We have a blank spreadsheet over there. The first thing that you're gonna do here is put your name on the top. That's always the first thing. So it says untitled spreadsheet. You're gonna click there and you're gonna put the name. And we're gonna put, you know, Chef Pablo, inventory, draft. There you are, that's for me. And if you're gonna use yours, you put your name. You put your name. Yes, Haley?
Are we starting a new one or are we putting this on our inventory already? Our made one.
I'm start from zero for those of you who hasn't watched it, okay?
Okay. So if we've done it, we just leave this.
Yes, if you are done it, you just keep it and watch it, keep it, and you can see that you learned how to do this, okay? Okay. There you are.
Thank you.
So you have already this, isn't it? Then you have the front page over here, and we're gonna use, let's see, 5 spaces, isn't it? So I have this one here, you see, this first one. And I want to use a 5 columns, A, B, C, D, E. I'm gonna go from A, B, C, D, E. So I'm gonna just click here and I extended the click without touching. And then I go down. You see, and I can go, I can go, you know, any columns that were, I have 1,000 columns you have to go down. So, but you're not gonna go 1,000, we just wanna do like this, do just 25. I'm gonna stay in 25. So I mark it, yeah. What it's telling me is that what are you gonna do in this space? That is what it's telling me. What do you wanna do in that space that you mark it? So what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna frame it. So I'm gonna get here, you see a little space that says borders. Borders. And I'm gonna click there. And it appears all the borders that I want. So I just want to mark them. Okay, so that says, put this one. All borders. I click it. And I have all the borders for all these. There you are. Fantastic. So I have my space over there that I already marked it. That's my frame where I'm gonna work. Okay, so what is the first thing that I wanna put in my inventories? The ingredients. So ingredients is this column, column A, isn't it? But the space to put the name of ingredients is too little, so I want to extend that space. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna go straight to the end of the column here, you see? That's the master of the columns. And I'm gonna see to the border of that column, and when I pass through that, you will see that there's 2 little arrows coming on the center. Can you see it? And what I can,
yes, we can.
You know, if I click it there, and I say you can move it here, over there, I can move it to any size that I want of my column, because I can make it shorter, I can make it longer. So instead of keep it there, I'm gonna go to B, isn't it? I'm gonna make it 2 columns longer. There you are. As soon as I take the finger on my cursor, there you are. This column extends of the size of 2 columns. Fantastic, isn't it? So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna put names. So what I'm gonna put it here on the top, I'm gonna put ingredients. When we do inventories, we do 2 long columns. One that I put the classification of the products. That what is in the classification. This time I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna put ingredients. And how we classify ingredients in inventories, isn't it? By units, isn't it? So what is the amount? So how much amount of ingredient I have? Amount of what? That's a unit of measure, isn't it? So the amount and the unit of measure, isn't it? So I can say 3 pounds. It makes sense? So what else I need in inventory? The cost by unit, isn't it? Cost by unit. And here, total. That's more or less what we have in an inventory, don't you think, Jeff?
Yep, that's it.
So there you are. So I have my first things. So I want to remark everything here because this is like my titles. So probably I want to change the letters and put it more intense. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use on all these things Arial. So I'm gonna click here, you know, and extend it to here. And this is the blue tape and says, what do you want to do? And I want to say, you know, I'm going to go here and I want to say, I want to use Arial. And I want to put a little bigger because I want to hold it in 11. There you are. So all these letters are in Arial. And you can put any kind of you want, isn't it? So you have all this. You can change all these things. In this market, you can change everything. Okay, as soon as I take the cursor out, there you are. The blue, get it out, you have all these things over there. But I can also tell them, you know, I mark this the first one, and I'm on straight, isn't it? I'm going to say, okay. I want on these things, guys, I want to be remarked. So I get here and says, you know, I want bold that. I bold it, so I click it because they are titles. And automatically the letters get bolded. And I want the letter center. So maybe I'm gonna go here. It says more. And then what can I do with that? And I says, let's go here and center it. And all the letters are centered. That's a great thing about the spreadsheets. You know, we can apply all these formulas to all the boxes, just few, a lot. And not only that, but I want to go ahead and says, okay, I want to go again, and I want to put color on this because our titles. So I can go here. You say it says filled with color, and so I'm gonna touch it, and I'm gonna say I want a little gray, maybe this light gray. There you are. I mark it, and there you are. I have, that is my titles. I can see it. It is a title. It's over there. But you know, maybe I want to frame it nicely. This spaces, so I can go here, mark it there, and I says, I want this one borders a little heavy, so I'm gonna get here and it says outer borders. There you are. And then I go the next, do the same. And every border I'm gonna do it the same thing. And I have this beautiful, nice kind of frame. For the whole thing. There you are. Now I have that, so I'm gonna start putting ingredients here, isn't it? So I says I'm gonna start doing with, I'm gonna have milk, and I'm gonna have eggs, and I'm gonna have butter, and I'm gonna have heavy cream, and I'm gonna have some protein, and I'm gonna have some mozzarella cheese or Swiss cheese. Let's put Swiss cheese. Swiss cheese, and then maybe I'm gonna have some shrimp, and maybe I'm gonna have some bacon and proteins. And then maybe I want to have some let's see, brisket.
That sounds good. You're making me hungry.
And then I'm gonna go for some produce. I'm gonna have some yellow onions. I'm not gonna put just onions because in onions there are many types of onions, isn't it? So I'm gonna have some carrots. And maybe need some garlic. And maybe need some tomatoes. And maybe need some potatoes. In potatoes, there's different types of potatoes, isn't it? So we're gonna have roasted potatoes. Okay. And then maybe we're gonna have some celery. Also, we need dry things. Maybe we wanna do oil, but we have oil, but not oil is not only oil. Maybe we have olive oil. We have canola oil. And maybe we want to have, you know, some ketchup. What else we can have in dry ingredients? We can have rice. We can have dry beans. And so on, isn't it? We can extend the list forever and ever. There you are. So we have right now 19, let's put 20 ingredients. Let's put chocolate. So we're gonna have in this, we're gonna have bittersweet chocolate. Bittersweet chocolate, 60%. There you are. So how much we're gonna have here? Let's put 2 gallons, amount 2, units of measure, gallons. And how much the price of gallons of milk? 3. Who has with prices over there? 3.25. Okay, 3.25. And so we have some things here where we need to fix it, isn't it? So probably I can say this, all these products that I have here, I want it in the center or in the other side. There you are. I want it on that side, or maybe center. Maybe I want it centered. How it looks better for me? I think I'm gonna leave it where it was. There you are. Amount. So what I'm talking here, what is this? Numbers, isn't it? So we're gonna get numbers. So I'm gonna get here on the format. Let me see. Okay, no, let me see here. Format. Where are my numbers, Chip? I don't see it. Okay. Okay, here. Okay. This is just numbers. So I'm gonna do numbers. So I'm gonna go here on these numbers, and this is just a number. So I want this on numbers. But the cost, isn't it, is not numbers. Dollars. It's dollars. So I'm gonna say, okay, is a number, is financial, is accounting. What is that, isn't it? And I says, is currency, isn't it? It's currency. There you are. And automatically I'll come here and mark it. So the total, what it will be the total to? The total, I have nothing here, but I already can say on this column, also I want currency. There you are. So I'm gonna say, you know, I want this working for the whole thing. There you are. So X, I have 20 X. The price by unit, we call each. And it will be 10 cents. I just put 10 and automatically it's gonna come. So I can go and do the rest, isn't it? So, but I want this to make an operation here that is summatory, isn't it? And I want to say, you know, this, which is the amount multiplied by this, it should give me the total. Because the amount by the price, it should give me the total. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna do this, guys.
This is important. So watch this if you're doing.
This will be equal. I'm gonna put here and says, okay, this is gonna be equal. And what I want is this column multiply. Multiply will be the top of the number rate, you know, the asterisk. Multiply, not that, multiply by this column, by this. And I'm gonna just hit the enter. There you are, automatically comes, isn't it? Fantastic. So now I can say, you know, butter, I have 2 pounds. And on butter, how much, how's the price of butter, guys? Butter?
Say what, per pound?
Yes.
I don't know, $2.50 a pound, $2.85.
2.85, there you are. And what about heavy cream? We're gonna have like, we have 2 quarts, 2 quarts. How much a quart of cream, Jeff?
Let's say $2 or $3. $3.25.
$3.95.
Chef, I'll be right back.
And Swiss cheese, we have, let's see, 3 pounds. And I says the pound of cheese is $8.99. Expensive. And shrimp, we have 4 pounds. And the pound of shrimp is gonna be $6.99. And bacon, we have 2 pounds. And the pound of the price of bacon is gonna be $4.85. So brisket, I have 10 pounds. Brisket is big, isn't it? And the price of a brisket, let's put $6.95.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And yellow onions, we have 4 pounds. And a pound of onions can be 95 cents.
Yep.
And we have carrots, we have 4 pounds. And maybe the pound of carrot will be 65 cents. And then we have garlic. We have 1 pound. And the pound of garlic will be $2.50. A little more expensive. Maybe too expensive, isn't it?
Maybe it's you know, black garlic. I don't know. It's fine.
Tomatoes, let's put 4 pounds. And the pound of tomatoes is 75 cents a pound.
That's about right.
And roasted potatoes, we have 10 pounds. And the pound of rice is $1.25 the pound. Maybe it's less than that, but okay. Celery, Celery, maybe celery we buy by units, isn't it? Not by
Yep.
pounds. So celery we have 2 units, so it will be each. And each unit costs 80 cents. And canola we have 4 quarts. And every quart of canola costs $3.95. And we have ketchup, 1 quart. And a quart costs $2.25. And then rice, we have 7 pounds. And a pound of rice, it costs $1.25. And dry beans, we have 8 pounds. And each pound costs 45 cents.
Yeah.
Very inexpensive. And chocolate, we have 2 pounds. And chocolate, maybe that's more expensive, isn't it? So maybe $3.65.
3 or 4. Yep.
So, okay, guys. So what I says to this is, what I'm gonna say is, okay, I'm gonna get all this column here, and all this column that is market, isn't it? I want to be sure that all is currency. There you are. And I want all this column that is here to the end. All this is gonna mark on units, just these numbers, isn't it?
Numbers, yep.
And here, all these corners that I mark it here to there, no, it's gonna be to the end. It's gonna get here to there, to the end. It's gonna be all currency.
Currency.
Yes. So there you are. So I mark it all this currency, that's. So this is, again, guys, I'm gonna do again. So I'm gonna teach this, put this in 0. I'm gonna do the mathematics, isn't it? So I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna want this column multiplied by this column, because the amount of elements that we have for the unit give me the, for the price, give me the total, you know. So 2 gallons, a gallon is 3.25, will be the amount. So we're gonna get, this is an operation, this is equal. Column number 2, and multiply will be the asterisk by this, and I will hit enter. Yes, and I says here, I have that. Now I want to apply this to the rest of the here. So I have this little square on the corner, guys, you see? And if I hit the square on the corner, I would say apply this to the rest. And voila, automatic give me all the calculations of all these things, and I don't have to do it one by one. You want me to do it again so you can see it? I already make the first one, isn't it? And what you have is still you have the square little blue with a mark on the corner.
That little blue box.
I have hit the blue box and pull it down to the end. And I says, there you are. Pick it out, and then that's it. You have all the calculation over there. So what I want right now is how much it cost me in total. So I'm gonna get here and I'm gonna mark from here to there, and I'm gonna tell them, you know, I want here, you know, a function. I want the summatory of all this. So I want to summarize. What summarize? All this. I mark it all what I want to summarize, and I hit enter. Then There you are. I have the total. It makes all the transactions. And now I have the total, how it cost me that inventory. Awesome. So again, I want to express again so you can see it. So what is the operation that I want to do? Here, you see functions. You get in functions and click in functions. This little mark that is like a name, you know, like a, how is the Greek name of this chip?
You know what, that I don't know what the Greek name
it's
is.
that kind of this.
Maybe someone can tell us.
Click it, and you have an average, you have an account, maximum, minimum, all that. And I said, you know, I want just summatory. There you are. Oh no, not in that place. Take it out. I'm talking about. Get out, get out. Okay, I go here, guys. That's what we want, isn't it? There you are. I have here, click there. And then I put an interrogation sign, okay? What you want to add? And I says, I want to add from here to there. From column 2 to column 20. There you are. Click it, enter. Automatic. The whole thing is done. How much we can save time doing all these kind of things, isn't it? It's amazing. That's why we love to do that. And I'm gonna get here and says, okay, I want this. I want. That's crazy doing these things. Okay. So I want this square, and I want an extra mark it here. There you are. I can use not 10, but 12, 11. There you are. And maybe I can mark it specially, so I can put color in the column. So yes, I can get a little color here and says, okay, I'm gonna put it some color to remark that this is.
Chef, your eggs, someone said your eggs are off a little bit. Price.
20x at 10, yeah. That will be 0.10. There you are. Fix it. And everything can change automatically, you see? Now I think 10 cents of an egg is good, isn't it, Chef?
Yes, yes, that's right.
So there you are, guys. You have your summatory here. So you learn to do that, you're good to go.
And this is all videoed, so you can watch it, and I'll post it if you ever need it again.
Right now it's 2 o'clock, guys. I hope you enjoy the class, and see you on Monday.
Thank you, Chef. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Chef. Have a good weekend.
Have a great weekend. Be safe.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Have
Be
a great
safe
weekend,
out
Chef.
there. All right, y'all too. Bye-bye. Great job, Chef.
Hey, Chef, I was just coming from the bathroom and I probably missed a couple of things. Do we have any assignments for Monday?
No, just finish up whatever. I think you're squared up. You don't have anything.
No for Monday.
I think you're good.
You're good. Go ahead and rest. Have a good weekend.
Go have a great weekend.
Okay, thank you guys. Have a blessed week.
Maya.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Chef Pablo. Do you need me?
No, Trinity, are you okay? You need something? Okay, that's good.
No, I think everybody's sleeping.
See you on Monday, Chef.
All right, see you Monday. Call me if you need me, okay?
Thank you, Chef.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.